What's going on, everyone? Wait. This is a black and white movie. We have to do this review in black and white. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Important's me review of the new Netflix original movie, Mank. This movie, of course, is directed by David Fincher and written by his father, Jack Fincher. Now, before we begin, as always, if you like what you see, of course, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button and comment below on any video to watch, including this one. So this movie, Mank, is based off the true story of a guy named Herman Mankiewicz, who, of course, is played by Gary Oldman. Herman Mankiewicz is very well known, or at least he in most circles is very well known for, of course, writing Citizen Kane, which is considered like one of the greatest movies of all time. But he is a guy that had alcoholism problems. He is a guy that became very disillusioned from Hollywood. And it almost ruined his career when he started writing Citizen Kane. Everybody tried to tell him, don't write this movie. Do something that will not piss off William Randolph Hearst, who's one of the biggest media moguls of all time. And he did it anyways. And not only did he win an Oscar, but he became well respected for taking on David versus Goliath. He's David and the Goliath was William Randolph Hearst. And of course, it made William Randolph Hearst very mad. It made a good friend of Marion Davies, who of course is played by Amanda Syfried, very mad. But in essence, this movie is a kind of, it takes place between 1930 and 1942, 43, somewhere around there. And it just shows a guy who was in the Hollywood system that was well respected in the Hollywood system, but he was a very outspoken individual. And it shows him starting to kind of be disillusioned by people like Louis B. Mayer, who's played by Arliss Howard, or William Randolph Hearst, played by Charlie Dance. It starts to see his life with his wife and stuff like that, and his kids start to fall apart. And it's just a guy who, not only because he became disillusioned, but because of his alcoholism, really affected his nature to kind of coexist in this very sleazy, very dirty, very dark world that is Hollywood. Hollywood is a very unforgiving, very cold universe, and nothing better shows it than in this film, which is a very dark and depressing, a very sad movie. And it's crazy because it's very David Finchian in its direction and its style, but it truly shows you the horrifying nature of what it is like to work in a place that doesn't care about you, that cares more about its greed than it does about you as an individual. And there are a lot of scenes in this movie that really show that to effect, between pay cuts because of the Great Depression to the whole Upton Sinclair thing when he lost to the certain individual because of the whole money situation, because Upton Sinclair was actually an individual who fought for the rights of the lower man. But because of the higher amounts of money that was being thrown to the Republican guy, the Republican guy lost. So there's a whole disillusion effect about, how they kind of scam the election the way they did and stuff like that. But it's a movie that truly kind of is prescient in today's society with the whole political aspect. But it's a movie that really truly kind of shows you what it was like in that society in that particular time frame of 1930 to 1943. Eventually, when Citizen Kane came out, kind of opened everything wide open. So with all that out of the way, with the synopsis out of the way, this is a film that I've been pretty much looking forward to since I first heard about it, which is, sometime early this year. David Fincher, when he does movies, they're movies that you want to watch out for because he has a very particular stance and particular style to how he films movies and how he directs movies. But what made this movie really fascinating and unique is, like I'm doing here, not only was it shot in black and white, but it was made to look like it could have been filmed in the 40s with its lighting and its, grays and blacks and whites, how the costuming is portrayed, how, there are cigarette burns. There's actually, the funny part is that you look at Fight Club, like that whole sequence that you talk about cigarette burns, it's right before the film changes reels, when, each film has like several reels attached to it, which, runs through the projector. There's a burn mark that pops up, and before the reel changes, that's when you know that the films are spliced together and stuff like that. So like in Fight Club, that's actually in this movie, which is really awesome. I really love that aspect. It really made the movie feel like it could have been a real projected film. But it's a movie that is really kind of on point with what it's trying to do, which make you feel like you're watching a movie in the 40s, making you feel like, in a sense, it's like Citizen Kane in a lot of aspects with its way it cuts, the way it portrays the past and present, the way it kind of intersperses all that together, and the way it makes the characters talk. The character who's played Marion Davies, who's played by Amanda Seyfried, the way she acts, the way she talks is very similar to what Cate Blanchett did in The Aviator, or kind of like what the characters do in Ed Wood. So if you put like Ed Wood in this movie and The Aviator together, it'd be a great, trilogy of movies to watch. But it's a movie that really shows you the bad nature of Hollywood. It really does. So with that said, I was really excited to see this movie because I like movies that take chances, that do different things, that go to the 11th degree or nth degree to make a movie truly unique. So this movie got a lot of buzz. It's been getting a lot of buzz, and for good rights. And what makes it also unique is, of course, Jack Fincher, who is David Fincher's father, unfortunately passed away quite a while ago. So this is a movie that's been kind of on the back burner for quite a while because no studio wants to make a movie like this because it's not going to be a big grosser. It's not going to be a movie that's going to be understood by the audience, and I'll get that in a second. And it's a movie that is truly inside baseball when it comes to Hollywood. So it's a movie that Paramount or Warner Brothers, whoever got a hold of the script, was afraid to make, and it's truly understandable why, but it doesn't make any sense why this movie didn't get made or took so long for it to get made. And because Netflix is being who they are and giving these gigantic budgets to these film directors, it makes a lot of sense why David Fincher went to Netflix to make this movie. He probably could have gone to Amazon or something like that. And here we are in 2020, and we have our film Mank. And I'm going to be 100% honest. This movie is incredible. To me personally, it's an amazing piece of work, but it's going to be a movie that I don't think is going to win Best Picture. There's a lot of big hitters like One Night in Miami or Nomadland or The Trial of Chicago 7. This is a movie that is going to be looked on upon its cinematography, its Best Supporting Actress with Amanda Seyfried, possibly Gary Oldman. There's a lot of big, acting Oscar people right now, and it's going to be a movie that's going to really confuse the audience because it doesn't allow itself to set place in one particular time. So you'll go back to the past for a few minutes, you'll go back to the future for a few minutes, or present day, back to the past, back to the future, back to the past, back to the future, back to the past, back to the future. And the only way you can kind of keep up with what's going on is they do a really cool thing with the script thing, where if you've ever read a script, in order to see a scene, you'll be like interior, blah, 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 scene, day, night, but it says flashback. So you're going back to like 1934, 1930. So you're always kind of kept on pace with that. But it gets to points where it gets so convoluted sometimes where it'll just cut back like quickly or cut forward quickly that you start to get really confused. I mean, it's just one of the unfortunate things of what the storytelling and what David Fincher and his father were trying to do. It's just not going to be a movie for everyone in that aspect. So there's going to be a lot of people that just don't understand what this movie is, what it's trying to do. A lot of these characters going in and out really quickly, and it can be kind of a problem. So that is this kind of major flaw, and why I don't think it's going to win Best Picture is just for the simple incidences. And so with that said, this movie, honestly, to me, is an experience. It's an incredible piece of work. And the reason for that is not only David Fincher's direction, which is, he's an A-list talent on his own. You can see it throughout the entire film. You can see it from the shot blocking, the way the camera moves, the way the world works. David Fincher is just in a league of his own a lot of times. But it all kind of boils down to cinematographer Eric Messerschmidt, who is kind of coming out into his first real big production and is going to win if he doesn't win an Oscar for this movie, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed, because this is a movie that is so different and so gorgeous to watch. The way the light shines down into a very 1940s feel, the way it's blocked, the way, the grays and whites and blacks. There's a very funny thing at the very beginning of this movie where it says, cinematographer, and it says, shot in high definition range, and it's just HDR, which I thought was a really funny joke. But it really feels like, a Wizard of Oz or a Citizen Kane, where it's just a very gorgeous, very pop in your face style movie. When the costumes pop, they pop. The way the characters just kind of move through the scenes. It's a very gorgeous looking movie, and it really shows the talent that some directors or some cinematographers have. And Eric Messerschmidt he's a revelation in his, showing of this movie. So it's pretty amazing to watch, and it's a pretty incredible piece of cinematography that if I've ever seen one, or director of photography, if you want to put it in that respect. So I have to give a shout out to Eric Messerschmidt. It's an amazing looking film, and just when they're in the study, or when they're in the dining room and the fire's popping, or when like I said, there's a really cool thing with the cigarette burns, which is really clever, from Fight Club and stuff like that. And it's just an incredible looking movie. So, and then we'll go into, of course, the music, which is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross again, which have become staples for, of course, David Fincher. It's another kind of different score than what you know Trent Reznor for doing, or Atticus Ross for doing. They really kind of shown that they can go to any depths and go to any kind of genre that they want, and they can just knock it out of the park. I haven't seen Soul yet, but I heard that's like another great score that they did. But it's a really incredible, really fits the tone of the movie, really fits the idea and the kind of a cool nature of this world. When it goes dark, the dark kind of tones of the instruments. When it becomes lighthearted, you see the lightness of the instruments, stuff like that. They use a lot of instruments that you can only use in the 30s and 40s. So it really once again shows you that Trent Reznor has really kind of uprooted himself from Nine Inch Nails, and same thing with Atticus Ross, kind of being a pairing now, and just kind of gone into a different atmosphere or stratosphere, whatever you want to call it. So it's a pretty amazing score. I hope it gets nominated. I hope they get nominated for both films, even though I haven't seen Soul yet. So, and we'll really get into the last piece, which is the cast. Gary Oldman is always great. He's great in this. He's not the greatest part about this movie because the characters are all kind of evened out. But I think the standout outside of maybe Arliss Howard or Tuppence Middleton is Amanda Seyfried, who is on the trajectory to win an Oscar for this character. She's in it not that much, but when she's in it, she's magnetic. She's embracing the performance of Marion Davies, and she just gives an incredibly nuanced performance that makes her truly stand out as a great Hollywood actress. And it's just an amazing thing to watch. It's an amazing thing when she kind of, has her moments with Mankiewicz, or Mank as they call him. Her kind of subtlety, her kind of when she tries to talk down Mankiewicz from writing the Citizen Kane script, because she is the daughter, of course, of William Randolph Hearst. And just to see her kind of struggle through the Hollywood system, and just see her struggle, trying to be the heiress of, somebody very famous and very rich, but trying to do her own thing. So she gives a very Oscar-worthy performance, a very commanding performance. And I wouldn't mind seeing her win the supporting actress Oscar, but it's a very stacked year for film. It's really crazy with a pandemic going on, but there's a lot of great performances this year, and some I haven't even seen yet. So, but as I leave it with that, this is a movie that is going to be interesting to watch what people truly think about it. It's going to be a movie that you're really going to be on board with, or you're really not going to be on board with, just because of how the scripting and how the story and the editing, because the editing can be a little choppy in a lot of places. But I think this movie really hones in on what is truly disturbing about Hollywood, and what is truly disturbing about people who try to make a difference and them getting thrown under the bus. Like I said, it's very prescient, especially with the political moments in this movie. And it is a movie that is really powerful and shows how great of a director David Fincher is with the cast and crew that he has. So, but that's it. That's going to be my take on this movie, Mank. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where this ranks in my top 10. Or if it gets honorable mention. I'm still not sure. I still gotta wait for Soul and the other films that are coming out. But that's it. That's my take on Mank. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of David Fincher as a director. Do you have a favorite film from him? Also, what's your take on Citizen Kane and all that good stuff. So, but anyways, if you like what you see in my channel, of course, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.